Welcome to another English lesson. I hope you are ready to learn English. One of the best ways to improve your English is by reading the news. Unfortunately, the news can often be quite sad. And today's story that we are going to be reading is going to be one of those sad stories. It's going to take place in the country of Iran, and it is going to center around the protests that are going on there. Before we get to the article, though, I would like to say hello to a couple people who have stopped by for the live lesson. There's Mahmoud. He's from Mauritania. Welcome. Freddie's here. Freddie, welcome. He's from France. Elena, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Mega, she's here. Audie the Thai. Hope everyone is doing well. Let's get right into the lesson. In this lesson, you are going to be learning some rather advanced English words. Words like custody, words like elites, grave, another way to use grave, icon, bereaved. We'll go over some English pronunciation as well. Not very easy. Bereaved. We'll talk about that term. Talk about remote. We'll talk about another way you use remote. Morgue. Never fun. Snatched. Good verb to know. Roiling. Not easy to say. Roiling. Crackdown. Blows, but maybe not in the way you know the English verb to blow. Right now, I am going to blow into my microphone. No, we are going to talk about a different way you can use blow in English. And disputed. Disputed. That is an adjective. We'll also be reading this article, Disputing Iran's Version. Mom says teen was beaten to death during anti-hijab protests. And if you saw the thumbnail to this lesson, you will see there's a picture of me looking all surprised, but you'll also see a picture of the young girl we are going to be talking about. She is only 16 years old. And one of the first words we can talk about is disputed. Disputed. So for every difficult English vocabulary word, I will have a picture of that word, and I will also have a sentence that might help you learn this word or possibly even use it in your next English conversation. So, disputed, what does that mean? Disputed means to argue about something. So, if you know the English word argue or argument, you might have an easier time with disputed. Disputed. How about this? Let's say there was a race and a bunch of people were running the race, trying to win. But one person was faster, way faster than everybody else. Everybody could see that that man won the race. You could say there was no dispute. The man clearly won the race. So if it was close, maybe they would have to go to something we call replay, but there was no dispute. That man clearly won the race. So in our article that we're reading today, the mom of this young woman is disputing what the government says. The government is going to say this young girl died one way, and the mother is going to dispute that. She is going to argue. She is going to say, no, that is not the way my daughter died. Let's just check the chat one more time. Hey, Stas. Hope you're doing well there in Denmark. Harry's here. Welcome. Mahmoud, You've come to the right place. Mahmoud says, I don't know any of these words. I have a lot to learn today. Very excited. So, the idea with most of these English lessons is to watch it a few times. The first time, you might not know any of the words. But if you watch it a second time or a third time, those words are going to start to sink in. It's an English phrasal verb we use sometimes when your brain gets information slowly. It might start to sink in. Hopefully. Okay, from Turkey. How are you? Good to see you live. He's asking what's shaking. That is a very casual way to say, hey, what's going on? What's shaking? Now, I know there might be some people in this chat who do not eat pork for religious reasons. So maybe you don't want to talk about bacon, but if you want to be very casual with a friend, you can say, hey, what's shaking bacon? What's shaking bacon? All right, let's do this. Let's get the article up here. If I remember how to do it. Yeah, I do. Make it nice and big. I will read that article title one more time because you now know the word dispute. So it might help if I read it one more time. Disputing Iran's version, mom says teen was beaten to death during anti hijab protests. So we will see what the mom says. There's a lovely picture of this young woman. Her name is, I'll highlight it right here. Her name is Nika. Nika. And unfortunately, she has since passed away, and she was only 16 years old. And there's a picture of her. And of course, when you're talking about the death of someone, in English, you can say, my thoughts go out to the family. So my thoughts definitely go out to the family and friends of this young girl who died in a very mysterious way. The government says one thing, the mother is disputing that. She says, no, she was beaten to death. Let's make this bigger and let's go down to the first paragraph. The mother of a 16-year-old Iranian girl has disputed official claims that her daughter fell to her death from a high building, saying the teen was killed by blows to the head. It's part of a crackdown on anti hijab protests roiling the country. That's one thing about reading the news in English. If you can read the news in English easily, you're really good. If it's hard for you, that's okay. That's why you're here. We are going to get better together. So there's the underlined word disputed. Hopefully, you know that. Disputed. But how about this? Blows. As I said earlier, or if you're just joining, that's a word. Blow. That's how you do it. Blow. And unfortunately, blow can be used so many different ways, like the phrasal verb blow up. That totally means something different. Maybe this English lesson will blow up on YouTube. That's a good thing. That means more people can watch it. And if you haven't hit that like button yet, it will help others find this lesson and maybe it will blow up. Or you can share it with a friend who's learning English. But there is another way that we can use blows in English. So at the bottom there, you might know how to use blows as a verb, something you do, but can be used in a different way. How about this? Jeff blew on his pizza to cool it off. So the past tense of blow, when you've already done it, it becomes blew. but not like the color that is spelled differently. Don't you love how easy English is? Yeah, right. But blows can also mean like to hit or to punch. So if you look at the bottom, blows can mean to hit someone, like punch them. Here's an example sentence. The argument got so intense that it came to blows. So an argument or a dispute, pretty much the same thing, when two people don't agree on something, they might have an argument, they might have a dispute. It might start with shouting or yelling, but if it comes to blows, that means they start hitting each other. And if you are watching on YouTube here or maybe Facebook, you can see the picture blows. And it looks like this person is punching. I don't know what those are. Are those blocks? Cinder blocks, maybe? But they are punching something. And it looks like they are punching it hard. They're making it actually crack in half. So blows can also mean to hit somebody. And in this article, the mother is going to say her daughter died from blows to the head. So maybe it's punches, maybe it's using an object to hit this young girl in her head. But the mom is saying, no, she died from blows to the head. The Iranian government is saying, no, she fell from a tall building. That's how she died. Any questions so far? Howdy. Hope you're doing well. Newark is in the house. I have driven through Newark a couple times. There's usually a lot of traffic. Yes, I'm in the basement now. If you've seen my other videos, it is, or at least at the beginning of the week, it was very wet. Now it is very dry, and tomorrow I think the problem is going to be fixed. All right, Mahmoud says, my sisters have always worn a hijab and they've never had any problems. So, as far as I understand in Iran, there are some women who are choosing not to wear a hijab. They're choosing not to cover their head. And some people in power, we will talk about them later, the elites, not easy to say, they have a problem with that and they are forcing women to cover their heads. So I am not going to get into that discussion, but in my country, at least in the United States, most people, remember, there are 300 million people in the United States, so we don't all agree on everything. But I think most people value a woman deciding for herself. I have some students who are Muslim. They decide, I am not going to cover my head. I have other students who decide that they are going to cover their head. But of course, it is going to use a big word. It is up to your interpretation of the Quran. Well done. Thank you. Hopefully, you're talking about this lesson. All right. Mahmoud says, I see the word a lot in headlines. What does it mean? Great question, Mahmoud. So let's talk about protests. My country is no stranger to protests. That's another way to say we know quite a bit about protests. But in this country where I live, the United States, it is legal to protest. When you protest something, that means you don't like the way it is and you want to let other people know about it. So maybe you carry a sign saying, let's say the women in Iran and the men who support them, they might carry a sign and walk down the street Their sign may say, I don't need to wear a hijab. That could be their protest. All the time in the United States, when you're going down the street, you could see a protest happening. Lots of people will gather or they will get together. They will all be thinking the same thing. Maybe guns. In this country, guns are often the subject of protests. Some people think that guns should be banned so they could all get together, carry their signs, and say, no more guns, no more guns. They're letting the government know that they should change something. That's what a protest is. Mm, yes, the towers. I don't even know if I can say that, but that is true. They did. Arone, how are you? Welcome. All right, Freddie Wolf has a great sentence. This guy is doing karate with his bare hands and causing a blow to the cement, maybe. Yeah, this is my bare hand. If you don't have a bare hand, you might have on a boxing glove. But yeah, that person in the picture, let me bring that. Yeah, bare hand delivering. We might use that verb, delivering a blow to the cement, delivering a blow to the cement. All right, Mahmoud, I will try to answer as many questions as possible. But let's get back to the article. I believe there was another word that I underlined that we should probably talk about, and that is crackdown. Crackdown. Now, I actually use this phrase as an English phrasal verb in a recent English lesson. I think it was called Phrasal Verbs That Sound Violent But Aren't. Crackdown. So a crackdown is one word. I can pull that up here. A crackdown. Crackdown can also be used as a verb to crack down on something. It's two words then. Let's talk about what crackdown might mean. A crackdown is when people who have power try to put a stop to something. I think there might be a typo in there. Let me fix that so it sounds better. Try should be singular. Do this correctly here. Crackdown is when people who have power try to put a stop to something. That's correct. Not tries. Try. So in the picture you can see looks like some people who are in authority. They have some power. It looks like the police, and it looks like there might be a protest happening. A lot of people are gathered. So maybe the police want to crack down on that protest. That means they put a stop to it. They tell all of the people, hey, you need to go home now. If you do not go home, you will get arrested. You will be put into custody. We're going to be talking about custody in a minute. How about this example sentence? This is not true, but the teachers at my school tried to crack down on students being late to school. So you try to put a stop to something when you're trying to crack down on something. So students were showing up late to school. So maybe the teachers say, hey, if you do not come to school on time, you will get a detention. That means you will have to stay after school even longer. Crackdown. People in authority, people who have power, try to stop something from happening. Any questions so far? Looks like that. Oh, Luke. I'm no stranger to learning English. I like it. Yeah. If you know something really well, you can say, I am not a stranger. I am not a stranger to my basement flooding. It actually happened 3 times, but Luckily, like I said, I think it is going to get fixed. All right, I'm going to take a sip of water, and this guy is going to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, share.
If this lesson is helping your English improve, don't forget to tap that like button and share it with a friend who's learning English.
All right, so back to the article. If you see there, another word is underlined. It starts with an R and it is not easy to pronounce. It's roiling. Roiling. To be honest, I don't use this word very often. And it seems like my internet isn't working so well. This is a live lesson. Please let me know. I would not do that. Please let me know if there is any trouble with the internet. Luke, English Addict, says Brent tried to crack down on lazy English students. No, I would never do that. I would never do that. Hopefully, yeah, that's too bad. I am breaking up. Come on, internet. Come on. Mahmood says, I like the way you explain and give examples to each word. Thank you. I just hope my internet is working here for me. So I'm going to continue and just hope the internet comes back. So roiling. Roiling. Let's talk about that word. Again, not easy to pronounce, not that common, but you might see it when you are cooking. The way I hear of roiling most of the time is with water. But in the article, they they describe the protests as roiling the country. Let's talk about the definition. Roiling. Roiling is a violent movement. I hear roiling used a lot with dangerous water. So maybe you were in a boat or you were in a raft. And if the water is roiling, that could be trouble. That could damage your boat. That could cause you to be thrown overboard and into the water. So these protests are causing some kind of violence in the country, which is why they used the word roiling. But how about this? This is by far the most common way I hear roiling. And it's often paired with another word that makes it even harder to pronounce. Right at the bottom of the screen. When you are cooking pasta, you might need to bring the water to a roiling boil. Good luck with those two words. Roiling boil. So when the water is boiling, it might look like that. It's bubbling. There's a lot of movement in the water. It's a good time to dump in your pasta. But a roiling boil means it's really boiling. Would you like to practice that? I can say that a few times. If you would like to practice your shadowing, let me say that sentence one more time. When you are cooking pasta, you might need to bring the water to a roiling boil. Roiling boil. And I'm getting internet notifications again. All right. All right, phew. My voice is back. Oh no. All right, the message is gone. So hopefully it's good. Back to the article. Thank you, Freddie. Let's do this. Second paragraph. I've practiced saying this last name. I hope I get it right. Nasreen Shakrami also said authorities kept her daughter Nika's death a secret for 9 days, then snatched the body from a morgue to bury her in a remote area against the family's wishes. Oh boy, right there. 3 pretty hard words: snatched, morgue, remote area. What do those mean? And then we will get to bereaved. Bereaved. Not easy. Not easy to say. All right, good. The voice seems to be back. All right. Yeah, sorry. Mahmoud, we're going to just stick to the article, the questions in the article. There are enough words in here. How about this? The first one that we saw was snatched. Snatched. And snatched means to grab something quickly in a rude way. So in the article, the mom said that her daughter's body was snatched from the morgue. So it was taken away in a very rude way, a very quick way, snatched. Let's look at an example sentence here. The man snatched the money from my hand. So maybe I was going to pay for something, but then he snatched it. Let me make myself bigger. Snatched might look like that. It's a really quick movement. So if the body was snatched from the morgue, it was taken away really quickly,